Rain tapped gently on the pavement outside the Ireland's Got Talent studio, forming small rivers that flowed past the feet of those waiting in line. People huddled under umbrellas, wrapped in expensive coats, chatting anxiously about their upcoming auditions. In the middle of this crowd stood a thin boy, barely 13, wearing faded jeans and a t-shirt too large for him. His slippers were worn flat and soaked, yet he didn't move. He held tightly onto a plastic bag. Inside it, carefully folded to avoid wrinkles, was the only clean shirt he owned. His name was Rafael, a Cebuano boy from a small coastal area where the waves crashed against rock more violently than life ever should against a child. He had traveled from the Philippines to Ireland not because of money. He had none, but because of a promise. His father used to play an old guitar and sing Hotel California to him every night, until one day poverty and life's burdens forced him to leave. No letter, no goodbye, just absence. His mother worked at a local market, carrying crates until her back ached. Rafael dreamed of winning so he could buy her a house where rain didn't drip through the ceiling. He looked down at the guitar hanging from his shoulder. Its strings were rusty and uneven. Its body cracked near the base. This guitar had once belonged to his father, and after it was pawned, Rafael had spent months saving lunch money to buy it back. Some days he ate nothing at all. He adjusted the strap nervously. The cold wind cut through his thin clothes. He shivered, but his determination kept him standing still. A production assistant walked past, noticing the boy's soaked shirt and trembling hands. "You're here to audition?" the assistant asked, eyebrows raised. Rafael nodded. "Yes, sir." "Is that your guitar? Looks worn." Rafael held the guitar tighter. "It still plays," he whispered. The assistant glanced toward the luxury outfits of other contestants, designer jackets, sparkling shoes, vocal warm-up apps in hand. Rafael was painfully out of place, a quiet shadow in a sea of glitter. But there was something in his eyes, something raw and unbroken. "Where's your family?" the assistant gently asked. "My mom's at home." "Working?" Rafael answered. "I came alone. I didn't want her to worry." The assistant blinked, surprised. "You traveled by yourself? That's a long way." Rafael smiled, though the smile trembled. Sometimes dreams are far too. The line moved forward and Rafael stepped with them, gripping the guitar as if letting go would erase everything he had endured. His slippers squished with each step, but he didn't complain. He thought about the nights he spent in terminals using his backpack as a pillow, saving every coin for this moment. He remembered singing quietly to himself in bus stations to keep his courage alive. He remembered hunger, cold, doubt. But each memory only pushed him forward. When he finally reached the backstage holding area, he took out his clean shirt from the plastic bag and changed into it behind a curtain. It wasn't fashionable, but he smoothed it carefully with his hands, treating it as though it were a royal costume. He looked at his reflection in a dusty mirror. He wasn't rich. He wasn't trained. He wasn't confident. But he had heart. And today, heart was all he had to offer. The stage lights were blinding, bright, white, unforgiving. Rafael stood in the center of the enormous Ireland's Got Talent stage, his small body nearly swallowed by the vastness around him. The wooden floor beneath his slippers felt solid and warm, yet his hands trembled as they clutched the guitar. His heart beat so hard he could hear it in his ears. Thump, 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 louder than the crowd whispering among themselves. The audience stretched into the distance like waves in the ocean. People in elegant clothes leaned forward, curious about the tiny boy with the old guitar. Some smiled kindly. Others looked skeptical. They were used to confident performers, not a shy, fragile boy who looked like the wind could blow him over. 3 judges sat in front of him. Their expressions were neutral, unreadable. One of them, a stricter judge known for being brutally honest, tilted his head, studying Rafael from head to toe. The female judge softened immediately when she saw his trembling hands and nervous eyes. The third judge, a comedian known for jokes, leaned forward with curiosity. "What's your name, sweetheart?" the female judge asked, her voice gentle. Rafael swallowed. The microphone in front of him felt bigger than him. My name is Rafael," he said softly, voice cracking. "And how old are you?" "I'm 13. 13, the strict judge repeated, tapping his pen. "And what song are you going to sing?" Rafael lifted his chin slightly. "Hotel California." "Sir?" The judges looked at one another, surprised. It was a big song, legendary, powerful, something usually attempted by seasoned singers. Not a boy with a battered guitar and shaky hands. The strict judge leaned forward. "That's a very difficult song. Why choose that one?" Raphael hesitated. His fingers pressed tightly against the rough wood of his guitar. He took a small breath. "Because it's the song my father used to sing to me before he left." A hush fell over the room. The audience leaned in. Even the strict judge paused, frozen, not by the song choice, but by the quiet pain in Raphael's voice. The boy continued, eyes glistening. "I want him to hear me, wherever he is." Someone in the audience covered their mouth. The female judge blinked rapidly, her eyes watery already. "Whenever you're ready," she whispered. Raphael nodded, though emotion threatened to choke him. His fingers found the strings automatically. He strummed the first chord, soft, uneven. A couple of audience members shifted in their seats, unsure. He closed his eyes. The next chord came smoother. Then he began to sing. His voice was fragile at first, trembling like a candle flame in wind. But as he stepped into the second line, something inside him opened. The words poured out, raw, broken, honest. His voice was full of longing, pain, memories of cheap lamplights and salty air from Cebu shores. The audience felt the story hidden in every note. The camera zoomed in on the judges. The female judge's lip quivered. Even the strict judge stared, stunned, not at perfection, but at emotion that struck like lightning. Raphael reached the high part of the chorus, and his voice cracked, not from lack of skill but from heartbreak. And instead of ruining the moment, it shattered the room. People gasped, not with judgment, but with empathy. The audience rose slowly, row after row, like a wave of emotion lifting them out of their seats. By the final note, Raphael's knees were shaking. His chest heaved and his eyes stayed closed, terrified of what he might see when he opened them. He didn't expect silence. He didn't expect tears. He didn't expect the entire room standing for him. He opened his eyes and saw every single person on their feet. The final note lingered in the air, vibrating like a heartbeat. Raphael's fingers fell limply from the guitar strings and he sank slightly, overwhelmed by the enormity of the moment. Silence followed, heavy, almost sacred, before the audience erupted into applause. It wasn't just clapping. It was a wave of admiration, of shared emotion, of pure human connection. People were on their feet, some crying openly, others with hands over their mouths, unable to believe the intensity of what they had just witnessed. The female judge pushed back from her chair, tears glistening in her eyes. "You didn't just sing the song," she whispered, voice thick with emotion. "You lived it. Every note told a story that words alone could never convey." She stood, stepping closer to Raphael. Her hand reached out, gentle, almost maternal. "You've touched all of us." The comedic judge, who usually smiled or laughed at every moment, now had his face streaked with tears. He stood abruptly, and before anyone could react, slammed the golden buzzer. The deep bang reverberated across the stage, signaling not just advancement in the competition, but a moment of pure triumph against every hardship Raphael had endured. Gold confetti exploded above him, swirling around like liquid sunlight falling gently onto his small frame. Raphael blinked, stunned. He hadn't expected this. He hadn't imagined that such strangers could see his heart, could feel his story so intensely. The tears he had been holding back for months, years even, now streamed freely down his cheeks. His hands, still gripping the guitar, trembled violently, and he dropped to his knees on the stage, overwhelmed by gratitude, disbelief, and relief. The applause was deafening. The strict judge, who rarely showed emotion, finally stood, a rare smile breaking across his face. He reached out a hand and helped Raphael to his feet. "That was extraordinary. You've got something special. Talent, yes, but more importantly, soul." The audience, moved beyond reason, began chanting his name. "Raphael! Raphael! Raphael!" The sound rolled through the theater like thunder, echoing off every wall. Raphael's small frame shook with sobs, but a smile spread slowly across his face. For the first time in a long time, he felt seen. He felt that all the hunger, all the travel, all the moments of loneliness and fear had led to this. The other contestants looked on, some with envy, others with admiration. But none could deny the power of what had just occurred. Raphael's story, his music, his courage, his perseverance had transcended language, culture, and circumstance. On that Ireland's Got Talent stage, a poor boy from Cebu had not only performed a song, he had touched hearts, healed invisible wounds, and reminded everyone that sometimes the most extraordinary talent is born from adversity. The other judges joined her, surrounding the boy, hugging him, clapping him on the back, telling him his voice could change his life. Angelo pressed both hands to his face, crying not from sadness, but from the overwhelming realization that for the first time in his life, he was seen. Above him, golden confetti kept falling like tiny pieces of hope. And on that stage, barefoot and holding a cracked guitar, Angelo realized that his dreams were no longer something he whispered in secret. They were real, and the whole world had just witnessed the beginning.